Hi there, my name is Alexa Rockwell, and welcome to my Capstone project presentation. My Capstone project addresses the intersection of mental health, bathroom discrimination, and school policies among transgender non-binary students. I chose to pursue this topic as advocating for LGBTQ rights has been a passion of mine, as well as mental health. And as of right now, I am an aspiring school social worker. Therefore, I thought it would be important to incorporate school policy into this project. I also thought this topic was really important to look at due to the current political climate surrounding transgender and non-binary rights in the United States. So overall, looking at this project, who is involved or impacted? Basically, it affects not only transgender and non-binary youth directly, however, it also has an impact on their peers, their family members, caregivers, educators, school administration, as well as policymakers. This topic is also important for social workers as we have an ethical obligation to advocate for vulnerable and marginalized populations such as the transgender and non-binary community. Bathroom discrimination in schools also is important for social workers as it's not only an issue of accessibility, but a broader structural issue that threatens transgender and non-binary mental health, safety, education, and their overall quality of life. So existing research shows that transgender non-binary youth experience higher rates of depression, anxiety, and suicidality compared to their cisgender peers. Existing research has also shown that bathroom discrimination is a major site of harm for transgender and non-binary individuals due to the stigmatization. So my systematic literature review examines the relationship between school policies, bathroom discrimination, and mental health outcomes while emphasizing a need for structural reform and intersectional advocacy. So within this systematic literature review, there were 21 articles that were analyzed. The methods section of this poster says 25, but it was only 21 studies. So these finalized studies were analyzed using a thematic analysis approach guided by Braun and Clark's 6-phase model. So after searching up my keywords and reviewing all the articles that popped up, basically I looked at their abstracts and findings to determine relevancy and identify key themes that were highlighted to facilitate systematic comparison across all studies. Using a chart that I created in Google Docs, the final themes were identified as transgender and non-binary access to gender-affirming restrooms, mental health challenges for transgender and non-binary students, and the impact of school policies on transgender and non-binary youth. There were 3 major findings throughout these 21 articles, including restricted bathroom access being associated with significant mental health risks for transgender non-binary youth. The second being that gender-affirming bathroom policies and practices promote safer and more inclusive environments that improve the mental health and educational outcomes of transgender and non-binary students. And the final finding being that school policies for bathroom use remain inconsistent across United States institutions, reinforcing cis-normative structures and contributing to the marginalization of transgender and non-binary youth. These findings demonstrate that bathroom discrimination reflects deeper systematic inequalities that jeopardize the mental health and educational success of transgender and non-binary students, and that meaningful and affirming policy change is essential to address these harmful aspects. So the overall findings of the systematic literature review indicate that transgender and non-binary students who experience bathroom discrimination reported elevated challenges of their mental health, whereas transgender non-binary youth who have access to gender-affirming restrooms exhibit much better qualities of life. Future research on transgender and non-binary youth and bathroom discrimination is really important to examine the long-term mental health effects of transgender non-binary youth, as well as assess the effectiveness of the inclusive policies implemented, and in exploring intersectional factors that shape the experiences in educational spaces for transgender and non-binary youth. Schools should definitely be implementing policies in support of transgender and non-binary youth to promote inclusion and enhance their levels of mental health. And there is also a need for advocacy that addresses the underlying structural issues that impact these experiences of transgender non-binary students, instead of having just individual accommodation. There's a much more systemic issue at play here. So yeah, ultimately creating safe and affirmative environments for transgender and non-binary students is not just a policy decision. It is a fundamental human rights issue that demands that social workers give their collective attention and action to. And I thank you very much for taking the time to hear about my capstone project today. Thank you.